put my number out on her page that got 10 million followers. She did that. Putting everybody in our business, letting them know that me and Pap was together.
You're a piece of shit, Papoose. You really are. You have turned into a piece of shit. This, right here, the gambling, the failures that you've had in your career or whatever that didn't pan out how you wanted to.
The conversation surrounding Claressa Shields, Papoose, and Remy Ma has continued to grow more complicated with every new interview and public appearance. What may have started as an attempt to openly discuss relationships, personal growth, and public perception has instead turned into a cycle of backlash, speculation, and uncomfortable moments that keep fueling online discussion. The more details that emerge, the more people seem to question what is really happening behind the scenes. Much of the recent attention came after Claressa Shields appeared on The Breakfast Club and spoke candidly about her relationship with Papoose. While she appeared confident and unapologetic during the interview, many viewers felt the conversation created more confusion than clarity. Instead of improving public perception, the interview sparked criticism and raised questions about boundaries, finances, and the status of everyone involved. One of the biggest talking points was the way finances were discussed. Claressa repeatedly emphasized how much Papoose does for her financially, mentioning that he pays her mortgage, covers car expenses, handles flights, and takes care of many day-to-day responsibilities. On the surface, it seemed like she was trying to highlight how supportive he is and how invested he is in the relationship. However, the way the conversation unfolded left many people uncomfortable. What stood out most was that these details felt deeply personal, and viewers questioned whether they should have been shared publicly at all. Many people interpreted the comments as subtle references to money and status rather than genuine appreciation. Instead of making the relationship appear stable or admirable, the discussion unintentionally created the impression that finances were becoming part of the public narrative in a way that could eventually create tension. The situation became even more awkward when Claressa shared a story about a birthday game she organized for Papoose. According to her, he had to choose between two hidden options, one involving a smaller amount and the other involving a much larger prize. She explained that he accidentally selected the lesser option, and later became upset after realizing what he had missed out on. At first, the story sounded playful and harmless, but once it reached social media, reactions shifted quickly. Many people felt the story painted Papoose in an unfavorable light, especially because it came immediately after Claressa spent so much time emphasizing how financially generous he is. The two narratives did not seem to align in the minds of viewers. That contradiction is what fueled so much online discussion. If someone is supposedly comfortable spending large amounts regularly and covering major expenses, people wondered why missing out on a prize would trigger such a strong reaction. Whether fair or unfair, the public began dissecting every detail and trying to connect dots that may not even exist. Things became even more uncomfortable when Charlemagne the God raised a direct question during the interview. He asked whether publicly sharing stories like that could lead people to assume Papoose was only interested in Claressa because of money. It was one of those moments where the tone of the interview noticeably shifted. Claressa quickly attempted to redirect the conversation by once again stressing how much Papoose contributes financially. But instead of calming the discussion, her response only added more layers to it. The more she explained, the more people analyzed every word. Viewers started questioning why so much effort was being put into proving the strength of the relationship. That became a recurring theme in public reactions. Many people felt that truly stable relationships usually speak for themselves. When someone constantly feels the need to defend, explain, or justify every detail, audiences begin to wonder whether insecurity exists beneath the surface. Another issue that sparked criticism was the continued mention of Remy Ma throughout various conversations. Each time the topic resurfaced, people felt the tension became more personal, rather than sounding detached or mature. Some viewers believed the repeated references suggested unresolved emotions and lingering frustration. Critics argued that bringing up Remy repeatedly only intensified public scrutiny. Even people who initially supported Claressa began questioning why comparisons and indirect comments kept surfacing. The situation gradually transformed from a simple relationship discussion into something that looked increasingly emotional and complicated. The fact that Papoose is still legally married added another layer to the controversy. While many people acknowledge that separation and divorce are not always immediate processes, others argue that there is still a significant difference between being separated and being officially divorced. That distinction continues to shape public opinion. For some observers, the issue is not necessarily the relationship itself, but the way it is publicly celebrated while the legal marriage remains unresolved. People tend to react strongly when situations appear morally unclear, especially when public figures openly discuss them as if no complications exist. This is why so much criticism centers around perception. Every time Claressa confidently praises the relationship, critics push back by reminding everyone that the divorce process is still incomplete. Whether fair or unfair, that reality continues to follow the conversation everywhere online. The timeline of the divorce has also become a major talking point. People frequently compare this situation to other celebrity divorces that moved relatively quickly despite involving far more complicated finances and legal issues. In contrast, this case has reportedly dragged on for years with little visible progress. That delay has fueled speculation. Every time people ask why the divorce has not been finalized, explanations are given about paperwork being filed or legal processes taking time. But for many observers, those explanations no longer feel convincing. They believe that if both parties truly wanted a quick resolution, it likely would have happened already. Because of this, some people suspect there may still be emotional ties, unresolved disagreements, or unfinished business behind the scenes. Others simply think the public is overanalyzing a private situation. Regardless of the truth, the prolonged timeline continues to generate questions. Another aspect people continue discussing is body language. After the Breakfast Club interview, clips circulated online showing Claressa and Papoose leaving together. Viewers immediately began analyzing their interaction frame by frame. People noticed that Papoose appeared to walk several feet ahead of Claressa instead of beside her. There was little visible affection, no hand-holding, and minimal interaction. Claressa, meanwhile, was navigating the street in high heels while trying to keep up. To some viewers, the moment looked completely normal and insignificant. But to others, the distance between them felt noticeable. Social media users quickly turned the footage into a symbol of possible tension within the relationship. Body language analysis has become incredibly common online, especially when celebrity relationships are involved. Audiences often believe they can detect emotional dynamics through small gestures and physical positioning. Whether accurate or not, those interpretations spread quickly and shape public perception. The situation intensified even further when Remy Ma attended Cardi B's sold-out concert in New York shortly after the interview aired. Photos and backstage videos began circulating online, showing Remy enjoying the event and interacting with others publicly. Then, unexpectedly, Papoose also posted content from the same concert on the very same night. Almost immediately, fans started connecting the dots. Since Remy was visibly there as well, people began speculating about whether the post carried a deeper meaning. Social media reactions exploded. Some commenters suggested the post was intentional and interpreted it as a subtle response to Claressa's interview comments. Others dismissed the theories as overreactions. But by that point, the internet had already decided the timing was suspicious. Claressa reportedly attempted to downplay the situation, explaining that the post was simply a repost and not something people should overanalyze. However, many viewers were unconvinced. Once public speculation reaches a certain level, even simple explanations struggle to quiet the conversation. What continues to make this situation fascinating to the public is the repeating pattern. Every time Claressa publicly praises the relationship or highlights how supportive Papoose is, something happens shortly afterward that shifts the narrative entirely. First comes the confidence and celebration. Then comes the backlash and criticism. After that, explanations and clarifications follow. Then another incident occurs, restarting the cycle all over again. Because this pattern has repeated multiple times, many people now view the situation less as a straightforward romance and more as a constantly evolving public spectacle. Every interview, social media post, and public appearance becomes another clue for audiences trying to understand what is really happening. Another factor complicating matters is how online reactions affect public image and business opportunities. In today's entertainment industry, perception matters enormously. Brands pay attention not only to popularity, but also to how celebrities handle controversy. When someone appears defensive, reactive, or emotionally overwhelmed online, companies sometimes become hesitant about partnerships. Public disputes and messy social media interactions can make brands nervous about potential backlash. This is why some critics believe constantly responding to comments and defending every rumor may ultimately do more harm than good. Instead of calming the situation, frequent explanations can make things appear even more unstable. At the center of all this is the issue of pride and image. Many people feel Claressa projects intense confidence, often emphasizing her success, wealth, and accomplishments. While confidence itself is not inherently negative, critics argue that repeatedly highlighting those things can sometimes come across as performative rather than authentic. Supporters, however, see her differently. They view her as a successful woman refusing to shrink herself for public comfort. From that perspective, her openness about finances, success, and relationships is simply honesty rather than arrogance. That divide is what keeps the conversation so active. Depending on who is watching, the same interview can either appear empowering or deeply uncomfortable. Despite all the controversy, one part of Claressa's message did resonate positively with many people. During discussions about her career and personal struggles, she emphasized the importance of giving your absolute best effort regardless of the outcome. She reflected on losing a fight after training intensely despite suffering injuries shortly before the match. Rather than focusing solely on defeat, she explained that she found peace knowing she had given everything she had physically and mentally. That message connected with many viewers because it shifted away from gossip and toward resilience. Her point was simple. People should stop destroying themselves mentally over outcomes they cannot fully control. If you work hard, prepare thoroughly, and genuinely give your all, that effort should still matter even when things do not go perfectly. It was one of the few moments in the broader conversation where the focus returned to motivation instead of controversy. Still, the relationship drama continues to overshadow much of that positivity. Every new interview reignites debates about loyalty, divorce, public respect, and personal boundaries. The more details that emerge, the more divided public opinion becomes. Some people believe Claressa is simply in love and defending her relationship against relentless criticism. Others think she is trying too hard to convince the public that everything is perfect. Meanwhile, many feel Papoose's actions and reactions suggest there may be unresolved tension behind closed doors. At this point, the truth likely exists somewhere in the middle. Public relationships are rarely as flawless or disastrous as social media makes them seem. But when private matters become public entertainment, every detail gets magnified and dissected beyond reason. What is undeniable is that the situation has captured attention because it touches on larger issues people relate to: pride, insecurity, loyalty, image, love, money, and public perception. Those themes are universal, which is why audiences remain invested. Whether the relationship survives long-term or eventually falls apart, one lesson already stands out clearly. The harder people try to control public narratives, the more unpredictable those narratives often become. Sometimes the constant need to explain, defend, and prove something only creates more doubt instead of reassurance. For now, the speculation continues, the internet keeps analyzing every move, and audiences remain divided about what is really happening behind the scenes. One thing is certain though, this story is far from over.